In the summer of 1911, the most famous painting in the world was not yet famous. She hung quietly inside the Louvre behind a pane of glass, admired by a few and ignored by most. Tourists walked past her without slowing down. Her name was the Mona Lisa, and in a single morning she would simply vanish. This is the story of the quiet man who stole her and accidentally made her immortal. His name was Vincenzo Peruggia, an Italian handyman, soft-spoken, unremarkable, the kind of man you forget the moment he leaves the room. But Peruggia had worked inside the Louvre itself. He had even helped build the protective glass cases that guarded its treasures. He knew the museum's corridors the way a man knows his own home. And he had noticed something that every guard had missed. On Mondays, the Louvre closed its doors to the public. On Mondays, the only people inside were the workmen in white smocks, invisible. On Monday, the 21st of August, Peruggia put on one of those white smocks and walked straight in. No one stopped him. No one ever did. He made his way to the Salon Carré, where she hung among the masterpieces of France. The gallery was empty. For a moment, he was alone with the most valuable thing he would ever touch. He lifted the painting off its 4 iron pegs. It was smaller than people imagined, and it weighed almost nothing. He carried it to a service staircase hidden from view. There, he stripped away the frame and the glass case he may have built with his own hands. What remained was a small wooden panel, the painting itself, naked in his grip. He slid it beneath his smock, flat against his chest. Then he walked toward the exit as calmly as he had come. At a locked door, he froze, but a passing workman, thinking nothing of it, simply let him out. And just like that, Vincenzo Peruggia carried the Mona Lisa out into the Paris morning. For an entire day, no one even realized she was gone. The staff assumed she had been taken upstairs to be photographed. It was not until the next morning that the truth set in. 4 iron pegs, a pale rectangle on the wall. The Mona Lisa had disappeared. The Louvre slammed its doors. All of Paris fell into a frenzy. Borders were watched, trains were searched, ports were sealed. And the newspapers printed her face on every front page on Earth. For the very first time, the whole world stopped to look at the Mona Lisa. People lined up at the Louvre just to stare at the empty space where she had hung. The police were desperate. They dragged in anyone they could find. They even questioned a young painter named Pablo Picasso. He was innocent. The truth was they had no idea who had taken her. And all the while, the most wanted object on Earth lay inside a plain wooden trunk. In a modest workman's apartment barely a mile from the Louvre, Vincenzo Peruggia had the world's greatest treasure hidden beneath the floorboards of his room. And he waited for 2 long years. In the winter of 1913, Peruggia decided the time had finally come. He told himself the painting belonged in Italy, that he was bringing her home. He believed Napoleon had looted her from his homeland centuries before. In truth, Leonardo had carried her to France himself 400 years earlier, but Peruggia wanted to be a hero. He also wanted to be paid. So he wrote to an art dealer in Florence and signed the letter simply, Leonardo. The dealer Alfredo Geri did not believe a word of it until the painting appeared before his eyes. In a quiet hotel room, Peruggia opened the false bottom of his trunk. And there she was, the real Mona Lisa, after 2 years in the dark. Geri and the director of the Uffizi authenticated her on the spot. They thanked Peruggia warmly and promised to keep her safe. Then they walked out of the room and called the police. Peruggia was arrested in his hotel, still waiting for the reward that would never come. The Mona Lisa was paraded across Italy like a queen returning from exile. And then, in 1914, she was given back to France for good. Peruggia served only a matter of months behind bars. Many of his countrymen saw him not as a thief, but as a patriot. But here's the genius he never intended. Before the theft, the Mona Lisa was one painting among thousands. After it, she became the most famous face that has ever been painted. A forgettable handyman had not simply stolen a masterpiece. He had created one. He stole her to sell her. Instead, he made her priceless. That is crooked genius.